Okay, I just need to get this out there. Do you want to trade DK Metcalf? If you are a Seattle Seahawks fan, do you want to trade DK Metcalf? Hit the comments right now. Go for it. All right. Let me know if you'd want to trade him, what you'd want to trade him for, or if there's a no way we're 4-2. We have a legitimate shot at making a run in the playoffs for the Super Bowl, for the West. The Niners are banged up. We need to keep everybody we can type of person. What are you? So if you're new to this channel, we do a ton of Seahawks content, but we mostly do content for teams that the national media market tends to ignore and or smaller market teams. We're Lions fans. You see the line back there. We have another channel, but we love the NFL and we love the teams that ESPN isn't talking about. Just to be completely honest. So there's been this rumor out there. I've seen it on Fansided. I've seen it on, blogs. I've seen it on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call that thing. I've seen all of this, and there's all these rumors about the struggle between the coaching staff, DK Metcalf, and should the Seattle Seahawks trade him. Here's something that needs to be known first. Trades don't happen in the NFL as much as you think. For rosters that have 53 players on them, the amount of trades that happen in the NFL compared to, say, the amount of trades in the NBA is laughably small. It is such a small amount of players being traded. So, yeah, no, I don't think that this is necessarily a good idea, but I'm going to get into some of the finer things. Let's do this in this video. Let's talk about DK's contract. Let's talk about what kind of a player he is. Let's just talk about what kind of a player he is. Let's talk about what he does for this team. And does it make sense to trade him in the middle of your team being good and in the middle of his big contract that he signed just last year? So let's talk about all of these things. All right. So first, I want to talk about who he is and what he brings to this team. I was looking at a fan-sided article that it was, for Pete's sake, they did 5 major takeaways. And the first major takeaway was no DK, no problem. I disagree. You played a team that was 1-5. Now, Arizona's pesky. That is a pesky team. They've been hanging around and all that kind of stuff. But your offense last week with a hurt DK and this week without DK is not what the offense was the 2 weeks prior to it. 20 points, struggling to get in the end zone in the second half. You were able to game plan without him before that. But then as it got a little bit closer to crunch time, got in the second half, it got harder to get the ball into the end zone. You needed to rely heavily on Kenneth Walker, 26 carries. You needed to rely heavy on that run game. For crying out loud, you had 32 rushing attempts with 24 pass attempts. Now, some of those rushing attempts by Geno started as pass attempts. I understand that. All right. And there were 2 sacks. So 26 dropbacks minimum. But you ran the ball like crazy. You spread the ball out well. Jackson Smith and Jigba. All right. JSN looked pretty good. He looked okay. All right. Bobo had a remarkable catch. All right. But here's the thing. Bobo is going to make remarkable catches. He did it in preseason a little bit. We saw it in training camp, but also he needs to make remarkable catches because dude is not getting massive separation. You know who else makes crazy catches and makes them look routine? DK Metcalf. All right, Tyler Lockett, you know what you have in him, but he's an aging Tyler Lockett. So we need to talk about hey, maybe he's a little more important than we think. All right. The next thing I want to talk about is his contract breakdown. And I'm going to show it to you right here. Let's do it. All right. So DK Metcalf just signed a 4-year deal or a 3-year deal, worth $72 million, including a $30 million signing bonus. Okay. So this year he is slotted to make the cap hit, let's just say, is $13.7 million. It's $13.7 million. Next year, the cap hit is $24 million. So if you're going to trade away DK right now, you could either pay $24.5 million to keep him, or you could pay $23 million right here to trade him. If you were to cut him in between this year and next year, it would cost you $23 million. With the trade, I'm not sure exactly, because like half of this money would go to you this year, and then the rest of it would go on to this. It's really weird. Next year, there's an out. Next year is the out, 11.5 million in dead cap or $30 million cap hit. Next year, it's after next year that DK is done. You are going to cut him after next year. That's the way at least that's the way I see it, just based on the math. Now, if you could get a first round pick, which you can't, I mean, maybe think about it, but you're in the middle of a run. You're gonna need something now. If I'm the Seattle Seahawks, so here's what I want to do with the rest of this video. I want to talk about who DK is as a player, but I also want to talk about one outside the box trade that might make a little bit of sense. If I know this sounds unique, but it might make sense for the Seahawks. So who is DK Metcalf? I think people act like he's going to be this number one great receiver. He's not that. He's a deep threat. He is a big body outside X receiver. Like, that is who he is. His first 4 years in the league, these are his yardage totals: 90 or 900, 1300, 967, 1048. His receptions were 58, 83, 75, and 90. Okay. Those aren't bad numbers. Like, those aren't bad numbers. All right. And his grades are actually really high, but he's just one of those guys that is not like this. He's just never going to be a Tyreek Hill. He's not going to be a Calvin Johnson. Everybody thought he was going to be Calvin Johnson when they started seeing him come to fruition. He's not Calvin Johnson. He doesn't have the maturity of it. I think people think he'd be AJ Brown, like his teammate in college. I think they were college teammates. Like, he's not AJ Brown. He's just not. Okay. But what if a trade, if you did something where you could help you, another player could help you win now, plus you might be able to get some extra for him, like give away DK Metcalf for maybe a Marquise Brown of the Cardinals, and then the Cardinals could send you some compensation maybe back, or maybe it's straight up. I don't know. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to do any of it. So I think what I'm doing, if I'm the Seattle Seahawks, is I'm hanging on to DK Metcalf. I'm hanging on to him. And in the offseason, if I want to trade him, eat that $23 million, but get like a second round pick, maybe I do something like that. I don't know. Maybe I do something like that. But again, even after this year, you're going to have to pay him as much not to be there as you would to have him there. And are you telling me he doesn't have a talent level that's worth being there for $1.5 million compared to not being there? You got him this year. You're going to have him next year. That's my take on it. I understand there's some ups and downs. There's some immaturity, all that kind of stuff, issues. The dude is a talent that can help you win games. Keep it going. You were successful last year with DK Metcalf on your team. You've been successful this year with DK Metcalf on your team. Just enjoy it while you got it. All right. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. We're really thankful for having all of you as part of the Sports Talk Extra community. Hey, see you on the next one.